What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Pure Evil MMA. I have a very special guest with us here today. Another contestant from The Ultimate Fighter Season 27. He just fought one of our friends, Bryce Mitchell, Thug Nasty, and he's joining us here today after going on a date with Dana White this week on The Ultimate Fighter, and we have so much to talk about. Jay, thanks for joining me. How you doing?
Good, man. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
So, man, this week I was so excited for you watching this week's episode. Just to catch everybody up on the season Ultimate Fighter. You're in this house with 16 other guys. What was your first reaction walking the Ultimate Fighter house?
I mean, is it real? Kind of. It's something that's been going for so long now. And I'm 31 years old, so it come out when I was like, I was 18 or so, around that age, and watching it back then was obviously, something that I never even imagined getting into, I mean, I never imagined fighting MMA, let alone getting onto the show. So being in the gym and looking at all the jerseys on the walls and that, it was an amazing feeling to see some of the guys that have gone through there. It's, it was a bit overwhelming.
Well, you're overseas, you're across the pond. There's been a lot of fighters that have come over and have really tried to make a name on the Ultimate Fighter. Who have you rooted for in the past that, was on the Ultimate Fighter? Like, who did you look up to on the Ultimate Fighter that really caught your eye?
Obviously, you got your man Michael Bisping. He was a guy that really stood out, on the Ultimate Fighter. And if you look at, his legacy, what he's put out for himself, even if he never won that title, he still would have been, an ambassador of the sport for British MMA anyway, alone, European. Yeah. So, and obviously you had the Ross Pearson, who won the TUF smashes. He's another guy that stands out there. And I've got my old teammate, Luke Barnett.
Yes.
The Charles Sonnen and John Jones one. I was obviously like just fizzling out of the MMA. I took a bit of time out, and Luke had gone into the TUF house and he didn't obviously get to the final and win, but he gave himself a lot of credit, and he did big things there, and it gave him the career that he had while he was in the UFC was great, and he had some great fights, fought some big names, and still doing big things now, and he's been a close friend of mine for a long time. So when this opportunity came around, he was the first guy I spoke to about it, and he gave me a lot of support about it.
What did he say? Was he like? Because I'm watching you this season, right? And I can tell that you're not trying to play into what the other guys are doing. You're kind of like the peacekeeper, so to say, in the house. You got your head wrapped around it. You got your eye on the prize, and you keep saying. You even said it before you fought Bryce. You're like, I'm a guy of opportunity, and you've definitely shown that. What are you thinking when you see some of the guys fight? This week we saw the guys kind of break out and do a little fight. What were you thinking? Like, you guys are idiots? Have you not seen season 1? Like, what were you thinking?
Well, it's brilliant. That scene, what's quite funny about that scene is that obviously what people don't see behind the scenes is how the fights are played out, on the show. So me and Bryce, I think it was, that fight happened the night after our fight, right? So me and Bryce sat on the settees where behind the cameras. I've got an ice on my foot from where I kicked his knee, and Bryce has got ice on his knee, from where I kicked his knee and stuff. And people are in this house, different ages, different characters. So it all kind of, people's emotions always, flare up and that. But Delaney's just a character, and I know Delaney very well, and it's all a game to him, He says one thing, but he means another thing, He does one thing, but it's for another thing, It's all a mind game, and there's all love. Everyone left there, with much love for each other and stuff like that. But it was quite funny, to sit back. I just literally sat back and was like, my head is in one thing and one thing only. I just lost my fight to Bryce. I didn't have the best performance. Bryce did, had a great game plan, shut me down, and I knew it going into the fight. I knew what he was good at. I knew what he was going to do, and I still didn't stop it. So it was props to Bryce, and I wasn't frustrated or, you know, upset or down, because at the end of the day, Bryce is a top competitor and he's one of the favourites going onto the show, 9-0. You know, he's got a few finishes from that body lock and stuff. You know, so the guy's legit, and he's a great guy as well. Got on with him really well. So you know, I was happy, you know, but I just wasn't happy that was it for me. You know, I wanted more. I wanted to leave there and go, and, you know, when my family, because I think what people forgot about on the show is that they sit in this show and they forget that people are going to watch this back. Their loved ones, their friends, their teammates, and they're going to see it all. So the ones that have not, you know, have not put everything into it, or, you know, just come there just for a bit of free food and a bit of fun times and stuff, it's going to be seen. So in my mind, before going, even, you know, being selected and flying out, in my mind was like, whatever I do on that show, I need to make sure that people back home will see that I put all the hard work in and I did everything I can to be able to walk away there and go, you know what, I did everything I did. It just wasn't my time.
So catching up with what you were just saying, going into that fight, for people that aren't aware, man, you finished every one of your fights so far. You're 8-0. Yeah. I think you've got only one decision out of like your entire fight. Even going back to your amateur career, you're on a 10-fight win streak, man. So, you know, being in a house with all guys on undefeated streaks, where you guys kind of like looking at one another, because you don't really know who many of the people are that at the house. So how, like, the egos, were there a lot of egos when you first got there?
I mean, no, everyone was like, it was a strange situation, because when the contestants get to Vegas, say I landed on the Friday night in Vegas, we're taken to a hotel room, we're kept there, and then we're in the house on the Monday. But there was a lot of complications with the coaches, so not many people know this, but we was held in the hotel for 12 days. So the longest that fighters have ever been held in the hotel prior to going into the house is like 3 or 4 days. We were there for 12 days, 11 nights we were there. So I think it was like 5 days into it, they eventually let us go and train in the gym and do certain things. And, you know, took us to a gym where we could all train. So we all kind of, you know, got a bit of a bond with each other. Everyone got to know each other. So everyone was really cool with each other. As the season goes and the teams get picked, people started getting a bit like, you know, that banter with the teams and stuff. So there was a little bit of egos with some guys, but it wasn't like next level ego. It was just competition, team ego, and, you know, just keeping it a bit of fun, you know.
Well, like I keep saying, with you're the mellow fellow, man. Like, you kind of had your head wrapped around everything going into this and kind of knew what to expect. But your story, man, is what really stood out. Like, everything that you've been through, everything that you've overcome. And even before we did this interview, I have to, like, it was cliche, man. You were trying to get the video on, and me and you were getting frustrated. I was getting a little frustrated. Like, let's just do the audio. You're like, hold on. And you were persistent about it. It took a couple minutes, but we got the video up for you guys. So have you always kind of been persistent to kind of just see through some hard times? Has that kind of just been the character that is built within you after everything you've been through?
Yeah, everyone goes through hard times in their life, don't they? And, you know, I was speaking to someone on Facebook the other day, and, you know, after my fight, and people have seen my story. You know, I've had a lot of people messaging in saying, you know, I've inspired them. Thanks, you know, you've made my week a little bit better. You know, I thought my life was a bit hard, but, you know, everyone has hard times, and no one's going to go through life not having hard times. And if everything's going great for you, something's just not right. You know, you can't keep it, just won't last. So that kind of persistence will push you forward. And, you know, as long as I can be happy at the end of it, at the end of the week, and go, you know what, I did everything I could, and that's all that matters to me. You know, as long as I give everything, and I know when I walk away from it, I'm not going to be like, fuck, man, why didn't I? You know what I mean? That's what it's about for me. Regret is a big thing that some people can just forget about, but, you know, for me, it will hang on to me for my life. You know, it'll always be there, and I've got a lot of things I regret, and they're always there, just clinging onto the back of me. But pushing forward and doing more positive things is just knocking one hook off every day, you know. So, like,
this week, you spoke with Dana White. You kind of brought him back. You were like, you literally, I even quoted it. You said, "Hey, Dana, what's up?" you kind of just walked in there. Were you nervous walking in there? I mean, you kind of saw what Lewis did, and you even said when you walked in there, this show is full of opportunities. This show is opportunities. Did you kind of prepare your speech beforehand? What were you feeling before entering that room?
I mean, yeah, there was definitely no. I mean, it was almost like a fight. You know, I was so the emotions and the passion coming through on me. I just wanted to go to him. I want this. You know, I want this. This is my. But I had to control them, and I wasn't too nervous about meeting him. And, you know, I've watched him. You know, I'm a big fan of Dane, and but I was there for me. You know, and I had to. It was more of like containing myself in there. You know, so. The interview when I went in there, I was probably in there for about five minutes, but they showed like a minute and a half, 2 minutes. Yeah, so there was a lot of like, you know, there was a lot of like shaking, and you know, I really just wanted to. But I think he see it in me, you know. Leaving the office now, I still don't know what he thought. You know, I still don't know what he thought, and you know, hopefully, you know, towards the end of the season, there might be a scene where I get to see it, but. I don't know what he thought, but I know when I left that office, I knew then that I'd done everything I can. You know, I've done everything. The ball's not in my court now; it's in theirs. You know,
and it's good for you. I'm hearing a little feedback. You might have to lower your speaker volume, but you know, seeing it from I've been covering the show every week, and I think we're on the 6th week now, but there's like 3 injured fighters out of everybody. So these spots are opening up. You guys are only in the house for a couple of weeks. Is that like on a lot of your guys' mind? Like, I don't want to injure myself too much because, like I just said, 3 guys got injured, so now they're gonna need some fill-ins. It looks like.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you say, I
just went on to go 100, like knowing that you got to keep your body fresh. You might have 3 more fights coming. Like, what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's just the mental game, isn't it? That's the whole thing about it. It's like that be killed. You've just got to go in there and just put everything out there, everything on the line, you know. And it's like Ricky's what Ricky went out and did against Saman. He went out there and he gave it everything. He threw everything at it, Saman. You know, regardless of what was going to happen, he threw everything. For me, I was withdrawn a bit with Bryce. I didn't commit to what I should have done, and Ricky taught me a lot in that fight. You know, he really did, because if people have read the blog, they would have seen that I thought Saman was going to be able to get him down and submit him. I really did, but Ricky surprised me and a lot of other guys on that show, and he showed what it takes to get to that next stage. You know, regardless of going into that, I never went into that fight with Bryce thinking I don't want to get injured. I just went in there with the winning mentality, and I did that. There was training, the preparation of the fight, the build-up, everything was there. I was peaking perfectly, but come the fight, I'd land a shot and I just wouldn't follow up with it, you know. And what Ricky did is showed me that, you know, no matter how much the odds are against you and whatever dark horse you are, you've just got to do you've got to do what you do, you know. And it's one thing I learned.
You know, Lewis, his speech that he had to you guys, it really reminded me of like a Remember the Titans moment. Did that get everybody in the house kind of pumped up and refocused, even though it was, you know, in the first couple of weeks?
Louise's injury, yeah?
Yeah, when he had that speech with you guys.
I mean, I remember that day, obviously, when he called everyone out, you know, when Louise showed me his foot after the fight, I knew he wasn't going to make it through that. That was a serious injury. But yeah, I think, again, like you say, it's all dependent how you go on there. I mean, like for me and a few others, you know, we went on there with that mind frame of just like Ricky, like, you know, I was there for me. I wasn't there for no one else. I didn't need no one else giving me a pep talk. I knew what I had to do. I knew what my job was, and you know, and it's like Ricky. Right, Ricky was on the same wavelength. A few others were, and you've got to really go in there and just, you know, just do you. Just be who you are, and remember what it took you to get there, and remember how lucky you are to be there.
So we saw in the first couple of weeks so far, you know, we love the coaches. You got DC, you got Stipe. Going into this, you know, they're doing like all these pranks. What did you guys expect from the two? Did you expect them to get along the way they are during the season so far?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, if you watch Stipe on some of the old embedded series and stuff, you know, he's always pranking around with his coaches and his wife and stuff. Kind of know what kind of character he is. And DC, you know, again, he's always pranking with his stuff. So it was fresh. It was a nice feeling to know that we was going to have two coaches that it's not just all about them, not about their rivalry, about their arguments, and it's about the fighters. And through the whole season, it really was about that. You know, DC is a great guy, and Stipe's a great guy. I had a really good relationship with DC in the sense of, you know, I was always taking the mick out of him. You know, I was pulling his chain a lot. You don't really see it a lot, but you know, I did have a good bit of banter with DC and his little boxing pad man Rosendo. You know, there was a lot of back and forth and stuff going on, but it was good times. You know.
So now, as we're getting, I think we're about halfway through the season. I've been covering the season, like I said, and I've been watching the ratings and the numbers, and it's doing pretty well. Even though we're getting towards, you know, it's actually, out of the past 3 seasons, I saw on Jetty Goodman's Twitter page, he said that there's been an increase of over 100% of people tuning in prior to the last 3 seasons. So I'm loving I'm loving what you guys are representing. There's a lot of great characters. There's a lot of people out there that are getting into the show, and that's something that, you know, MMA and the UFC needs. Even though, like I said, it's sad that the Ultimate Fighter's coming to an end, because, like you were saying at the beginning, this has been in our lives since I was in high school. You were in high school, so it's kind of sad. Did you know going into it that this was probably going to be one of the last seasons?
No, I didn't. No. I knew after we'd left. I probably found out a couple of weeks ago that there was talks of they were gonna. I mean, I still don't know the full story. I still don't know what's going to happen with it. I know there's they're doing another one at the moment, but the one they're doing at the moment, is that going to be on Fox? Is that the last one on Fox, or I don't know?
Yeah.
Do you know?
I believe the ESPN deal picks up in January of 2019, so there probably will be one more season on FS1, just because ESPN hasn't even typed or uttered the word Ultimate Fighter yet. So I'm not sure about that or what they're doing. It looks like Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series is the direction that they're going, but I'm sure there's going to be people out there that are going to miss the Ultimate Fighter. So we'll see what happens. But Jay, before we let you go, you know, of course, this weekend UFC Liverpool is going down. I need to get the pros picks for what's going on. I mean, first, before I get your prediction, this morning we woke up to our dismay that Darren Till came in a little bit overweight. What's your views on, you know, fighters making weight? Should there be a limit? You know, over 3 pounds, the fight shouldn't go on. Should there be more than a 20% give up? What is your thought on missing weight?
I mean, it's a tricky one, isn't it? You know, at that level that you're in, especially when you're like, I mean, if you're just in the UFC alone, you know, you're at the top game, aren't you? But breaking into the top 10s and stuff like that, you know, it's your job, isn't it? It's what you do. So I think, you know, as fighters, you should always maintain your weight. You know, I mean, for me, I've fought a featherweight for a lot of years, but I'm not a featherweight. I'm a bantamweight. You know, but I don't like to cut the weight. You know, I like to eat the week. I like to eat on the week of my fight. You know, I like to eat what I want. It's, you know, it's something that I like. It makes me happy, and being happy is the main thing. But I mean, Darren Till is, you know, is a great fighter. And you know, I hear that it was a family emergency, but at the end of the day, it's, you know, we're all professionals, aren't we? And you know, we represent the sport and we represent people out there. So, you know, I would never jump to any conclusions and bow mad anyone, because at the end of the day, it's cutting weight is, you know, is something that is not to be messed about with. So I hope everything is well with Darren Till. I mean, it's a shame that he didn't make it, because, you know, he's there. You know, he beats Steve Roy Wonder Boy. It's, you know, and he puts him away. You can argue that it's a title shot. You know, you just don't know, do you? So, but I'm looking forward to the whole card. I've got an old friend on there, Arnold Allen. That kid's a beast. You know, I call him. Yeah, he's on the main card. Yeah, I call him a kid, but I mean, I knew him when he was like 16. You know, or 15, 16, and he was like kicking pads in a back hall when I was having like my amateur MMA fights. You know, the kid's a beast, and he's a scary looking monster, a nice kid, and I look forward to watch. I always like watching him fight. You know, I haven't seen him a long time, but he's a great talent. And the card's got a lot of great fighters on there as well. So I'm just looking forward to it. I'm a fan more than anything. You know, I love to fight, but I'm a fan. I don't miss a UFC event. I watch every UFC event. I'm not one of these guys that just is in the UFC. And I've been watching a podcast with Joe Rogan and George St. Pierre.
Yeah,
and he was saying there that he doesn't really watch a lot of the. I watch everyone. Fight nights, you know, I catch it up on the next day and stuff. So I'm always watching it. I'm a fan of it. So yeah, this week there's some big fights, and you got that Craig White who's just signed from Cage Warriors. He's getting a chance, you know, to fight Neil Magny. You know, the guy beats him. It puts him straight up there, doesn't it? So
yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. But I hope till, you know, everything was all good and stuff, but the fight's still happening, I believe. I mean, what I believe is still happening. So from what I understand, he missed the weight and they give him an extra hour, no?
Yes.
Yeah. And then he still failed to make. He didn't show
up. They gave him an extra hour because they had a family emergency, so he showed up an hour late. Like, people were like, where is Till? And then he showed up an hour late. They gave him the extra hour because he didn't show up. But then he came in almost 4 pounds overweight. The story is, I guess, his wife was in labor or something like that. So, but at the same time, almost 4 pounds is like, it's almost a slap in the face to Wonder Boy, who didn't want the fight originally, you know?
Yeah, 4 pounds. Yeah, that's a lot, isn't it? So, I mean, it's, you know, you never judge a man, dear, but, you know, it's don't judge people, you know, it is what it is, and the fight's still happening, and thing is, we know Till can make the weight, you know, it's not that he's never, you know, it's not like it's a Johnny Hendricks situation, you know, it's not that, is it? You know, I believe it will never happen again, for sure, but, and the confidence he had an interview, I think yesterday or the day before, and he was like, yeah, I'm gonna hit the weight, so, you know, he didn't have no worry, he didn't look like he had no worry in his face and that, so, but it's a shame, but Stephen Thompson, you know, he's a great fighter, and you know, I know even if he'd come in over 10 pounds, he still will fight him, you know. So I think we've still got a great fight on our hands. I just hope it doesn't go to when Till puts him away in the first round. Oh well, he had the weight, you know. I just hope people could just look past that and go, you know, he is the real deal. So I believe he's the real deal. I love his confidence, and you know, he's representing Britain as well, so, you know, I've got to give him the love, so.
Last but not least, how do you think Molly Meatball will do?
I mean, I live in Spain now, so I'm not really, I'm not really in with the British crowd, but I know of her, and she's a handful from what I've seen her, so the other girl I'm not too familiar with, so I mean it's just exciting to see, isn't it? You know, these UK, what Cage Warriors are doing for the UK as well, especially like putting the platform for these fighters. You know, Chris Fishgold is just been signed. He was the 5th lightweight champion. He's good. I trained with Chris, and he is a monster. So he's good. So I'm looking forward to it, to seeing him fight. But yeah, like you said, I'm a fan. You know, so anyone British that's fighting in there, I'm always there rooting for him. You know, it's I'm looking forward to it. I really am.
Hey, I forgot to tell you, and there's no way I can not say this. So I was looking at your Twitter page. I was going down to see what fans were saying, and I guess some fans made like a drinking game about you. You saw that?
Yeah. You know.
It's called the Jay Cucci drinking game. Every time you say, you know, they got to take a shot. I thought that was hysterical, man.
Yeah, so, I know. I'd be getting people very drunk right now, wouldn't I? So my girlfriend's the same. She's always like, she's probably gonna watch this back and be like, you know. So I do try my best, but you know,
Jay, really quick before we let you go, you're doing a giveaway on your Twitter for fans.
Yeah, there's obviously the caption I'm wanting people to come up with, and there's something that I've always thought about when I was in the house. There's something that I've always thought about in my mind that, you know, is something that's going to be big in my life, in my MMA career. So I just did it. I just, thought, let's see what people can come up with. So, some of the ones are brilliant. I mean, some of the ones I've heard on there are brilliant.
I've seen a couple of good ones.
Yeah, they are brilliant. But I mean, a clue. I will give a clue. While obviously I've got you here, it is to do with the fight, with the fight itself. So imagine me in a fight. What would I be thinking about, in the cage, So
guys, go check it out on Twitter at The Mellow Fellow. That's TheMelowFellow. Jay, thank you so much for joining us here on Pure Evil MMA. We want to wish you best of skill and a great future, and I cannot wait to see you see what happens on this season Ultimate Fighter as it unravels.
I'm sure we'll be talking again very soon. So I appreciate the support, from the UK, from Spain, from over in the US. I love all you guys, and I'm excited. I'm excited for the future. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
There you go, guys. Jay Cucciniello from this season Ultimate Fighter. That is another fighter we've gotten to talk to this season, which is a real treat because in past seasons they have not allowed us to do interviews with any of these guys. So we've had on Joe Giannetti. We've had on Jay. I'm still waiting for Suman to get back to me. He was supposed to come on right after his fight on Wednesday. Unfortunately, something came up, he said. So I don't know if he was on TUF Talk with Karen or what was going on. But guys, make sure you guys go follow Jay, get that giveaway, figure out what he was thinking there, and tune into The Ultimate Fighter. It goes down every Wednesday night here in America at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't miss out. Once but not least, white knuckles to the end. Behave yourselves.